Paul McCartney never had much patience for the so-called electric controversy that erupted when Bob Dylan traded his acoustic guitar for an amplifier. To him, the backlash was pure nonsense. He and the rest of the Beatles had once sat in the audience during Dylan's folk era, listening to a set filled with delicate acoustic numbers. But just a year later, Dylan shocked purists by stepping away from the traditional folk sound and plunging headfirst into a bold, electric stream of consciousness style of rock. While some fans cried betrayal, McCartney championed the shift, insisting Dylan hadn't sold out at all. After the Beatles went their separate ways, George Harrison grew close to Dylan, working with him in the studio on sessions that later surfaced in unofficial bootleg releases. McCartney's admiration never waned, especially for one song he had been desperate to hear live. That moment came on May 9, 1965, at London's Royal Albert Hall. McCartney remembered silently hoping Dylan would perform Mr. Tambourine Man, though he half expected Dylan's mischievous streak to make him skip it entirely. To his relief, the song made the set list, marking the first time McCartney experienced it live. The night began with a purely folk-driven first half, but then Dylan returned with the Hawks. Years before they would become the band, plugged in and electric. For McCartney, it was nothing short of one of the greatest concerts he had ever witnessed, and the criticism from folk loyalists baffled him. Dylan, he felt, had perfectly bottled the spirit of the era, and McCartney considered himself lucky to be in that room. There was one minor slip in his memory. At the time, the band had yet to adopt their famous name, still performing as the Hawks. It's believed all four Beatles were in attendance that night, hearing not only Mr. Tambourine Man, but also, "It Ain't Me, Babe." A year later, Dylan's electric transformation was in full swing. On his 1966 world tour, he delivered a now legendary set in Manchester's Free Trade Hall. That night became infamous when a heckler hurled the word Judas at him, cementing the performance as one of rock history's defining moments. Released later as part of the bootleg series, it bore little resemblance to the 1965 show the Beatles had seen, proof of just how far Dylan had traveled in such a short time.